Over a year ago, an errant joke on a Hearthstone podcast about adding a fifth suit to poker got me thinking about what sort of design space that would be. Before long, I was toying with doing away with the very concept of a set number of suits at all. As a thematically motivated gamer and designer, a scene of a tavern filled with short-tempered, cheating goblins came into focus. In this world, goblins made their own cards, emblazoning them with the images of the things most important to them, from weapons to treasure to fire. For the suits of Goblin Poker, I settled on flames, bones, clubs, swords, and shinies. Having only 3 fingers, they would make their decks of cards with suits that represented the 3 things most important to them. This goblin loves his sword, the roar of a fire, and shiny jewels, so this is the deck that he made. But after many nights of playing at the tavern, this impatient little goblin may have dropped a few of his cards and accidentally collected a few cards from other decks as well. The resulting deck is mostly blue, red, and purple, but has a few hints of yellow and green. I loved the concept of an indeterminate deck, foiling hopes of card counting and replacing calculated strategy with sometimes groan or cheer-inducing moments of improbable chance. I was also interested in the concept of acceptable cheating in a card game, since goblins are obviously cheaters. For Goblin Poker, I combined all of these elements. The players choose the 3 official suits for the deck and shuffle the 2 slop suits together, dealing out 2 cards to each player for their lap, which they just happened to bring into this game from their last one. Each round, the dealer deals out 2 cards to each player. This is their lot, and reveals the first public card. Players have a chance to toss a card back, the dealer replaces any tossed cards, and reveals the second public card. Because goblins are cheaters, players can switch cards between their lot and their lap at any point. Because goblins are impatient, a hand is only 3 cards, made up of a player's lot and a single public card. Unlike Texas Hold'em, players can only use one of these revealed cards, which is why they're on either side of the deck. Because goblins are poor, or just bad with money, betting has been replaced with simply anteing a chit to stay in for the round. And because goblins are aggressive, there are rules to force competition in every round of Goblin Poker. Once all the players have either called or folded, the worst hand gives a chit to the best hand, the cards are shuffled, the dealer rotates, and the game continues. And yes, to answer any questions, the probability of the standard poker hands have been adjusted for a game with hands of 3 cards and only, quote, 3 suits. Once a player loses their last chit, they're out. The last player in is the winner. After I had Goblin Poker up and running, I continued to play around in the 5-suit design space. While Goblin Poker doesn't have face cards, each of the suits does have the standard 13 cards in it. This allowed me to use the framework of card games I grew up with, but with newfound flexibility. For some games like Spit or Rat Slap, largely maintaining the rules but using all 5 suits simply made for longer games. For other games, like BS, using the method of, quote, 3 official suits and 2 suits for slop, unquote, leads to incredible moments when you're holding 4 8s, called bollocks on a player, and he actually had the 5th. Bollocks is the Goblin version of BS. I've also used well-known games like Rat Slap and Solitaire as launch pads for a more hand-tailored gaming experience. To counteract the obvious benefit of having 5 suit colors instead of 2, the various versions of Grit, the Goblin Poker version of Solitaire, are all adjust difficulty accordingly. In Exterminator, not only do you slap doubles as you do in Rat Slap, but any cards of the infection suits are slappable. And once those are removed from play, any color of that number is slappable as well. My aims with the suite of other games with up to 5 suits were to keep them short to encourage multiple plays and to encourage experimentation within the design space. Thank you so much for taking the time to look at Goblin Poker.